Core.
You are listening to Core, a show on Code Zero Radio that plays bands located in the Fox Cities. A show to find and discover new music. Hosted by Andy McNamara.
Madison-based musician Jay Moran has been a part of the Wisconsin music scene for decades. He has written and performed in many projects over that time, including Emmettsville, the Know-It-All Boyfriends, Steely Dane, and the Obros, just to name a few. In 2022, Jay released an album called Funnelhead under the name Emmett Jaymes. On top of that, he just released a new single called Love Ain't Money. I'd like to welcome Jay Moran to Fox Cities Core. Jay, how you doing?
I'm doing great. It's nice to be here with you, Andy.
Thanks for making the drive up. I normally am appreciative, but you came up extra far this morning, and especially after the little dusting of snow we had last night.
The roads were just fine. There was no problems.
So you've got a new album out, which is really good. If people haven't had a chance to listen to it, we have been playing a couple tracks on WCZR. But before we get into that, let's talk about when you got into the music scene.
Well, I grew up, my father was a musician. I took piano lessons. I gave up piano lessons. I started playing guitar, and then I learned stuff on guitar, and I taught it back to me on piano. And then I started, in high school, started playing it with some friends and playing in bands. And then I met some really cool guys from Madison, Dave and Eric Hansen, and we started playing together. And they'd come to Watertown, or we'd go to Madison. We had a band, and then I was like, okay, I'm moving to Madison. That's I grew up in Watertown, which is one wonderful little city, and so I came to Madison, and we worked on building that band, and I played with a bunch of other people. I'd play the Sunday night jams and the Monday night jams and the whatever, and that was a great place to learn stuff, and it's always fun to play with other people, and you learn from playing with other people, and that was great. And I'd been writing for a while, but then I started really concentrating on writing, and I wrote a lot of songs for the Obros, and then I wanted to do this Americana project, Emmettville, and so I did. I worked on that, and I'm not really sure what happened after that, but it took a while. I ended up playing reggae. I played with anybody who really needed me, and learned a lot doing that.
So Emmettville was an Americana project that had two albums out.
Yeah.
How did you get that? Was that a project that you started?
Yeah, I started it, and my friend Mary Kelly was in town, and I met her at an Obro show, and we talked, and I'm like, I'm going to start this Americana thing. So, and she played accordion, so that came in really handy, and she was a great singer, like one of my favorite people to sing with. So that was a thing, and we started doing that, and did a lot of big shows, opened for a lot of people at the Barrymore, and it was really fun, and then she moved. We did play Appleton once at Mongo's, and I liked that place a lot. It was really trippy. And then I'll kind of bring it back every once in a while when we have a second record out, and I'm working on the third one, but now I'm just a musician, so I have more time to concentrate on all these different projects, so hopefully those will come up faster instead of really slower. I have to remind people who Emmettville is, from maybe ask your parents. They may have seen it.
So you said that you're working on a third album for Emmettville? Mm-hmm. It's the same crew that was in the original lineup?
It is not the same drummer. Rob Scoville moved to Turkey, and that's a tough commute for him. But we know some great drummers in Madison and around. So the recordings are done with a couple of folks, Chris Sandoval and a friend of ours who kind of just gave up playing drums, which sucks. He was amazing. So you're just trying to fit in all the different bands, or production stuff that we're doing. But that's a fun project. I really like it. It came out of growing up listening to Dylan and Neil Young and all that kind of stuff, and wanted to do something a little more not so electric, and a pretty fun project.
So the two albums that were previously released, you had Down Hometown and Unincorporated.
Yeah.
And Emmettsville, was that a play on your name, or was that?
Yeah, it's a play on my legal first name. Yep. But there is a city or a town in Wyoming called Emmettville, and I'm like, great, maybe we can go there and play.
Well, it's the song titles too. I was wondering, was that a name of an actual city, or a play on your name, because they've got album titles that kind of are based on a city.
Yeah, it's just based on my name, and but we did make up some road signs and things like that, so it looked like it was a real city, and apparently it is a real city somewhere.
How did you get involved in Steely Dane?
I was bartending at Jenna's Lounge, which I know some of the Appleton folks are fond of. And Dave Stoller, who's one of the keyboard players, was there at happy hour, and he said, "Hey, we're thinking about starting a Steely Dan tribute band. Would you want to be in that?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'd love that. I love Steely Dan music." So that started happening. We talked about it, and then it built into it. It started as a 20-some people collective. And we got it down to a nice tight 14 people now, so that's fun. But we've been doing that since 2011, and it's kind of mind blowing to all us. As we went along, it's complicated music, and we're like, hey, you know what? We're okay, but we need to be better, and we kept trying to get better as we went along, and we did, and it's so fun to do that show now. We just did a show at the Majestic in Madison. It was sold out. College kids to 70-year-olds were at that show, and it was so fun. Everybody loves that music. It's we didn't realize, we thought it would just be guys who would come to see. When we started doing it, it'd be like guys with ponytails, and we didn't really know. But
you did a show at the Pabst too, didn't you?
Yeah, we play the Pabst every year.
What a beautiful theater.
Yeah, it's great. And we get free Colectivo coffee.
Oh,
you can't beat that. Yeah.
So you've had a lot of opportunities to play some cool stages with some of these projects.
Yeah, Steely Dane, we play big theaters, we play outside venues. I don't push my personal projects out as much as I should, probably. The Obros, we played Summerfest for years and played around, but now, part of building a band is, okay, I made this collection of songs, but now we have to go out and play them. So I'm working on that, so that'll be part of next year.
So the Obros, I'm not very familiar with the Obros, but how long was that band active?
We really kind of started getting big in the 80s. I'd say the 80s to 2000. we played a lot of shows, and we were pretty popular, and had great crowds, and it was fun. It was predominantly original music, and when we started that band, we didn't really want to be a cover band, so to speak, and so we just wrote fun songs, and every once in a while we'd slip in a cover song just to keep people dancing or something like that, you know. And but that was a really fun band, and it was really good.
Any chance the O'Bros will reunite?
Well, 3 of the people who were in that band have passed away, so and including the 2 brothers who were the really big part of the core of that. So I don't know. It would be hard to recreate that, but some of us think maybe we should try or do a tribute to that or something. Yeah, we'll see.
How's the Madison scene? You've been up here in Appleton performing, and I know you've been up here to see shows.
Yeah.
How is the scene up here different from Madison?
Well, you know, for me, I can't say that I know Appleton as well. I know some of the great musicians who live here. So, and I know that Frank Anderson's house was the house that Rock built. Whoever lived there before, apparently that was the crash house for musicians. So that's pretty amazing. I know that you know, there was good music venues. We opened for somebody right on College Avenue. It was a theater, I think, that they kind of changed into it was like a movie theater, and they made it into
it's like a dance. Was that Route 66?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, and you know, we opened for somebody there, and played Mongos, and I guess that's about it. And I've seen shows up here. Saw Pat Metheny up here. It was amazing.
I saw you at Deja Vu for a Zero Hero show.
Oh, yeah.
Years ago.
Wow, I forgot about that.
Any chance that we could have Emmett Jaymes up here?
Yeah. This would be a city I'd want to play in. Yeah, because when we build the Beasts, I think we have it built, but we haven't rehearsed yet. So,
is there well, I don't want to get ahead of myself, but is there a part in the process that you don't enjoy as much as others, like rehearsing or writing or recording or performing?
Well, I mean, all that stuff to me is necessary. There's nothing I really hate. I'm not a great promoter of myself, so I probably should be better at that, and we'll have to be better than that if we go out and play shows for that record, and so that'll be a work in progress for a while. But now that all I have to do is be a musician and a writer and a producer, that's great. I'm totally happy with that. So I have my dream job now.
So it sounds like you like everything about being a musician except for the extra stuff that goes with it, the promoting, the social media.
I don't mind the social media. The only thing I really don't like is having to tear down my gear at the end of the night and load it in my car and try not to forget something.
Are you using solid state amps?
I'm using
big old heavy tubes.
I'm using tube amps now. For Steely Dane for a while I was using a Helix, and it was great because I could pre-program everything, and it you know, would come back the same way every time. But now I have a analog rig, and it just sounds better. I used it the first time a week or so ago, and people in the band were like, "Yeah, man, analog, tube amps." I'm like, "Yeah, I know. It sounds so much better."
No going back now.
Yeah, yeah. So if anybody's looking for a Helix LT, let me know. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's hard work, whether it's Steely Dane or something else. I mean, it's still work, but it only seems like work when you have to tear down. That part I don't like as much, but everything else would be great. I always would say I would set up my own gear, carry it in if someone else would put it in my truck for me. That would be great.
So one of the things I find interesting about Steely Dane is like watching some of the videos on YouTube and stuff of you guys performing. Number one, all you guys are just amazing musicians in that project. And two, Steely Dan had a lot of songs that I didn't know were Steely Dan songs. Like, you know, it's like
Steely Dan songs, you mean?
Right, yeah.
I'd have that problem all the time. There's what we tend to do is we know what the hits are, and we try to play those. We also try to do album nights. We're like, okay, we're going to do all of Asia, and then we'll do some other like random stuff. But we try to mix in the deep cuts, like Bad Sneakers or Dr. Wu or something like that, and it's pretty fun, and like deep Steely Dan fans, they really love that, and we'll get messages, hey, you should do this song too, and we're like, oh, okay, that's be a good one. So we try to balance it, and
how many guitars are in that band? Is there 3 or 4?
2.
Get Dennis Shepard, right?
Me and Dennis, yeah.
Okay.
Dennis is amazing. He is amazing, and he's made me much better. I probably have to pay him for that. Yeah, it's a great. And then 2 keyboard players, the 2 Daves, and four horn section. We have a percussionist. We have a vibes and marimba guy, Tommy Mattioli, and 2 background singers, 4 horn players. Did I say that already? So it's a big band.
That's a lot of moving parts when you're trying to schedule a show.
It is. Yeah. We're scheduled out, like we're scheduling for 2025 now.
Wow.
Yeah.
So
I got an email. I'm like, wait, I think we have a show that day. And then he goes, no, it's for 2025. I'm like, oh, yeah, I'm open.
how do you keep track? Do you have a calendar or something?
Oh, yeah.
You almost have to, don't you?
Yeah, I have a calendar. And I print it out, and I have it on my refrigerator. And then if I want to travel or go somewhere, I have like, okay, this is my window. I got a window. So I try to do that when I can.
You've made it to the band reaction segment, where we're going to play a clip from the last week's guest.
Okay.
I'm going to ask you a question, and then we'll get your reaction, and then we're going to have to do a commercial break. So this is a question from the French-Irish Coalition. They're a 2-piece blues rock band out of Green Bay. Let's see what the question is.
Okay.
Band reaction. Band reaction.
Hey, Jay, this is Travis.
And this is Julian.
We're from the French-Irish Coalition, and Julian's got a question for you.
With playing with Butch Vig, have you ever told him that his drumming sounds like garbage?
I'm not associated with this question.
Butch is a great drummer. He's kind of moved to electronic drums. That's for like garbage. That works better, and it's just easier for them. He's a lot of fun to play with, and we're all getting older, so doing the 3-hour shows aren't really great anymore. But he's a wonderful drummer, and we've been friends for a long time, and he's hanging out at Smart Studios, I learned a lot of stuff from him and Duke and Steve and all those folks, and it was so great to work with all those guys. And Butch is still a badass drummer.
He's phenomenal.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for the question, French-Irish Coalition. Thank you, Jay, for your reaction.
Merci beaucoup.
So this new album, it was long coming. It's under the name Emmett Jaymes, which, if you want to explain first why you decided to go with Emmett Jaymes over Jay Moran.
I don't know. Like, since I was a kid, my name is not Jay. I mean, that was a nickname my parents gave me. My real legal name is Emmett. They never called me Emmett. They called me Jay. So my whole life I grew up as Jay, and it just didn't sound rock enough. and there was already some pretty famous Jays. So that's where that came from. So I started using Emmett as a place to change my identity a little bit. So I have some friends who call me Emmett, but everybody else calls me Jay. So
was it kind of hard to make that jump using your real name?
Nah. Nah. I didn't like it when I was like 6th grade or something, but actually I kind of like it now. So I answer to both.
You started working on this project a long time ago.
2014 probably I started writing those songs, and probably recorded on ADATs in my basement. I bought that house because I looked at a bunch of houses, and in the corner there was a drum set in the basement. I'm like, I like that, actually. That would work with. So like that was why I bought the house. And it has a bathroom too, which is nice. But yeah, I started writing that in like 2014, and just kind of had this pile of songs. And
did you know it was going to be like a solo album at that point?
Yeah. I worked with a great drummer, Scott Beardsley, in Madison, and he played on pretty much everything. There's a couple songs where I played drums on, and really thinks there's a thing called quantizing that makes bad drummers like me sound much better. So I kind of just got it was at a point where I really didn't have money to pay a lot of people to come in and do sessions. So I ended up, playing bass and playing guitars and playing keyboard parts. And then eventually, as the project went on, I dragged some other people in, like Dave Adler from Steely Dane, who played keyboards on a bunch of stuff on that. Yeah, but I just didn't release it. I had all this, like 80% of it done, and I don't know what, I got busy with other stuff and playing in other bands, and so it took me a while to get it out, and then I'm like, okay, I'm going to resurrect this and bring it back. So I did, and then I added a few new songs, including the Man I Was, which was written at the Refuge while I was staying over one night in Appleton, and that morning I had the idea. I just sat down and spit it right out, so it was great. So that was a little newer, and When You Go is a little newer, but yeah, it was just kind of a pile of songs, and then I realized, okay, these songs kind of work good together, so I'm going to put them out. So I did. I finally got it done.
Some of the older songs you wrote and were already working on, did you change anything on those songs, or those are how they were when you recorded them back in 2014?
Those are pretty good. One of the things that happened is, I'm a studio in my basement now, but I lost the individual tracks. I'll probably on a hard drive that I'll find 10 years from now, but so I had mixes already that Mike Zirkel did at Smart, and they sounded great. So I used those, and a little trickery with new gear to, bring the vocal up a little bit or do something. But and then the other stuff I just kind of built in my studio, and would have a drummer come in, or use a Logic drummer until I got a drummer to come in, and so that worked out fine. It's nice. I like playing with other people. Like the last Emmettville record, we really tracked with multiple people, and like live in a room, which is it's a better thing. And part of me doing the other record, it just, I'd do it when I could, and I couldn't really pull that many other people in. So took much longer than it should have taken, but it's done now. So
you mentioned working with Mike Zirkel. Did he do anything after Smart on this Funnelhead release?
Not after. He did some great work on that. So,
And those who might not be familiar with Mike Zirkel, he's just a great engineer, great all-around guy.
yeah, he's a wonderful guy, and he was at Smart for a long time, and I loved working with him. He's just super. We did the Emmettville projects together. We did the stuff that's on Funnelhead together, and I really enjoy working with him. So,
Did he try to pull out anything from you that maybe get you to look in a different direction while you were recording stuff?
he didn't try to produce me. I think by the time we did it, it was pretty well sussed out, at least to what I was hoping for. So he didn't have to do that. He's really good at making, you might want to just make this a little less boomy, or you might, and so I'm like, Mike, you go ahead and do that, make it sound good, and then we'll listen to it. And if I had a critique on the mix or something, he had a hard time getting me to agree with having a loud vocal, which now, if you listen to that record, all the vocals are up there. And I'm like, yeah, I don't know why I was hiding that, but maybe it was lack of confidence in my singing back in those days.
But the vocals on the album are great. They're smooth. I'm listening to it a lot, and it's really growing on me every time I listen to it, as I'm able to like sort of identify the songs better. The first track, Inside Out.
Yeah.
Was that one of the older songs he wrote, or was that one of the newer songs?
That was one of the older songs, and I think it was the first one I wrote, which, for that project, I guess. And it turned out really good.
It's really, like, the theme is really nice. It's about just kind of relaxing and taking it easy.
Yeah, letting go and get in the back seat, and it turned out great in the chorus. If Butch Vig reaches out to you and says that chorus is awesome, like, okay, then I did a good job. I really like that song, and people seem to really like it. I got a lot of feedback on that, so that's pretty nice.
Was there a song on the album that was harder to write and record than the other ones?
There's a couple, I don't know. No, not really, not super hard. There's a couple that I left off that were part of a project, and then I just was like, okay, I got something newer and better, I think, that would work there. So, I think 8 songs or 9 songs, but.
So you released Love Ain't Money as a single, but that's not on the.
Yeah, that'll be on the next collection. I've already got I got a lot of songs, so I just need time to.
Sounds like you have a lot of irons in the fire.
I got plenty of irons and not enough fire.
So I want to talk about the new single too, but let's talk a little bit more about the album. So it sounds very autobiographical, your writing.
Interesting.
I don't
Thank
know.
you. Well, tell me more. Tell me why you think that.
Well, it just sounds like, and you've got a song called Hippie Girlfriend.
Yeah.
There's just a lot of stuff that sounds like you're writing about your life. Some people write, like they'll just use like people they know or like, as a subject. And it sounds like and I don't know if you are, but it sounds like you're writing just about your life and just kind of letting it flow that way.
Well, My Hippie Girlfriend came pretty fast. I wrote that pretty fast. And then a good friend of mine who I used to work with, she was a total hippie girl. And I played her that song. I'm like, I wrote this for you before I knew who you were. That's a really, to me, it's just a fun song. It's almost comedy, I guess. Some of the stuff is written from me, but one of the things I like to do when I'm writing is okay, that guy, what is he thinking? How does he perceive things? So I try to crawl into other people's psyches, and I don't know how well I'm doing that, and then just kind of see it through different eyes, and so sometimes it's autobiographical, but for the most part, I'm stealing it from someone else's experiences, but definitely some of mine as well.
We've got a question here. Do you still practice your guitar playing as far as... Okay, let me redo that one.
Yeah.
Do you still practice your guitar playing as far as trying to learn and improve, or do you focus more on utilizing what you already know through songwriting? Any technique you want to work on?
I want to work on hybrid picking. But I play every day. I have a lot of guitars in my living room. I'm not married, and I don't have kids, so my guitars are my children. But I play every day for at least an hour, and there's things I'm always trying to learn, new things. Playing with Steely Dane, I learned a lot of chords that I didn't even know existed, so that was great. And I'm comfortable playing up and down the fretboard, but can always get better. And my right hand, sometimes I'm like, okay, am I being noisy? Am I hitting stuff? So always trying to be better, and if I can't be better, I'll probably stop playing.
The new album again, you said you wanted to do some shows and kind of promote it that way, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you could pick a place in Appleton to do this at, you haven't done a CD release show for it yet?
No, I haven't.
Okay, so is that something that you feel is kind of not really important when you're releasing an album?
I think it's important. I just haven't got there yet. Yeah, I think it's important, and I want to go out and play it live for people because I think it'll be fun. And there's other songs that will be part of probably a next release that will, give us enough songs to do a decent set. I think right now we could probably only do an opening set, and that would be fine. But yeah, I'd like to do a bigger celebration for it. I got let's see, 2 shows in January, 3 in February. I got with Steely Dane and with other stuff. So try to fit all that stuff in.
The artwork cover is great, and I believe that was done by Mr. Frank Anderson.
Frank Anderson, who did it at my house. I was like, okay, we talked about it. I'm like, yeah, I like that brick wall thing. It looks like it's painted. And well, yeah, let's do that. And then I was kind of tinkering around with it, and then I sent him some of the stuff I had, and he knocked it out in like 15 minutes. It was awesome. I'm like, okay, thanks. I was the art director. I wasn't the artist. So,
when did you meet Frank? When did your paths first cross?
I think we met a long time ago. I heard him play in Buzz Gunderson. And I didn't know him then, but I'd heard him play, and he was amazing. And then I think through Joey's song, the Obras would play in Milwaukee a lot, and the company that Frank worked with did some video of us of the Obras in a bar, and so I kind of got to know all the people over there, and I've known Frank for longer than I remember, but we hit it off, and we geek out a lot. So
that's great that he did the artwork. And
yeah,
it's a really cool cover.
Yeah.
So who did the cover for your latest single, "Money Ain't Love Ain't Money"?
I have a secret for all of you other musicians who don't have money to spend on art or don't have friends who are great artists. AI on your phone produce like for all the singles, all that stuff came from an AI app on your phone, and you can put in like, okay, strawberries and lightning and whatever, and then it'll just So that's where all this came from.
Do you see like AI taking over songwriting too? I know that sometimes you see YouTube videos like this is a resurrected like Nirvana song because all the Nirvana stuff was put into AI and this is like a new song. A lot of it's junk, but do you think that it's going to advance to a point in the future where you can just enter in some feelings and a genre and then it's going to kick out something you can release?
I am not excited about AI doing that. That's our musician job, and our writing job. It's probably going to happen. Won't be able to stop it from happening. Some of it might be really cool, but depending on the algorithm. But man, we got everybody like got a CD out or something, at this point. So like, do we really need to have robots doing it? But we'll see.
CDs have really kind of changed. Like they're not what they used to be. Do you find it important? Like, are you going to get the new Funnelhead CD?
I will do a pressing of CDs for Funnel. I'll have to remaster for that purpose. But yeah, I will do that. Like Freedy Johnston's also a member of the Know-It-All Boyfriends, and when you're out playing shows, it's people want to buy it. They probably, hopefully, still have a disc player, or they can rip it and share it with their friends. But yeah.
You played with Freedy a couple times. There was the something in Madison recently, and then you played with Freedy full band at the We've Got Your Back, Jack.
Oh yeah.
How long you've known Freedy? Obviously, a long time as well.
Long time. I met him when they were working on This Perfect World, and we just chatted a little bit and talked about music and stuff. I was already a fan. I'd heard his stuff, and then Butch was working with him, and so that happened. And then Butch called and said, "Hey, can you put together a band for Freedy, or can you back him up?" And so I would start doing that. And sometimes we'll go out and play full band shows, and sometimes it's maybe just the two of us, which is a nice combination of music and the Smothers Brothers. What it usually turns into, but it's been fun. We did a show up at the Parkway Theater, this as a duo, but Freedy was there with us as a Steely Dane guest. That was super fun. But we did a show at the Baroques, a live show with Frank and myself and Phil Lyons on bass and Chris Sandoval on drums, who's a wonderful drummer, plays with the Jimmies. Am I answering your question?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Ever a chance you and Freedy might go out and do a Freedy J kind of a co-tour, like a short little run of shows?
We could do that. We've done shows similar to that, but I would love to open for him, and then back him up. Because I've been playing those songs for a long time. It's fun.
In the Know-It-All Boyfriends, when did you officially join that project?
It was a Christmas party at Butch Vig's brother, Chris Vig's house. And a bunch of us were there, and they tried to hire like a piano player or somebody to do that. And then they're like, well, we couldn't get anybody to do it, and we're all musicians, so let's just play. So we would. That's where it started. So we'll play like 2/3 of a song that we almost kind of knew, and then we'd play another song, and that's really where the Know-It-All Boyfriends came from. And it was Freedy had that name, like he bestowed it on us. So we were like, okay, that's who we are now.
And the band is a lot of fun. If you haven't seen the Know-It-All Boyfriends, used to do shows at the Momar.
Yeah.
And,
oh God.
and the bands they've done a lot of like fundraising shows. And
Yeah.
then now Joey's song, which
Yeah.
can you tell us a little bit about Joey's song?
Yeah, Joey's song is about raising money for epilepsy research. Mike Gamal, the gentleman who put that group together, they had 3 children that were adopted, I think, and they lost one of them to epilepsy, and so he's just been kind of a warrior on that front. And it started out like I saw Freedy and somebody from the Bodines do a thing at a volleyball court, 15 years ago, and it helped raise a little money. But I mean, now it's become a big thing. Like we do the Barrymore and fill that up, and this year or early next year we'll be at the Sylvie, and it's going to be a great show. We got Chris Collingwood from Fountains of Wayne with us. We've got Corey Chisel and Frank and Alex, and the Nielsen Trust is going to be there. Gail and Tanya from Belly, Kay Hanley from Letters to Cleo, and
Dave Perner from Soul Asylum.
Dave Perner, yeah, from Soul Asylum, which that'll be really fun. Butch produced a record with them, and a 14-piece gospel choir, which is going to make things really
This just
interesting.
keeps getting bigger and bigger.
And we're going to use them. we're not gonna ignore that. So that's going to be really fun. So it's going to be a great show, and we raise a lot of money for epilepsy research, which a number of the artists who are taking part of it have somebody in their family that has suffered from epilepsy. So, when we first started doing it, it seemed like a lot of work, but now to me it's a lot. It's still a lot of work, but it's really good work to do. So.
And people can bid online too. There's an auction with guitars, signed guitars.
Yeah.
And I think REM, Garbage, Joan Jett. There's just a ton of things you can bid on if you can't make it to the show and you still want to help. You guys went all virtual one year when COVID hit. And I expressed my love to Frank for your cover of Twilight Zone. You guys just ripped that song. Like, that's a song from when I was a kid that sticks in my head. But when I heard that on the streaming version of the show, I just fell in love with that version. It just sounds so like alive compared to the original.
Yeah. Well, we did I think 3 songs.
Yep, Circles.
That way. Circles and
How Deep Is Your Love?
And How Deep Is Your Love, which Freedy just killed that, man. It was so awesome. That was really a fun project, and we would just trade files. It was the pandemic, so we got a drum track and we got a thing, and then we'd kind of build the track, and everybody would, and then Butch would take it and move it around, and then so we'd do one song, and we're like, oh, that sounds really cool, and then we'd have to do a video like 3 weeks later. All of us separately. So I had this and and Frank just made all that stuff work together. It was amazing. He's amazing.
The video was really cool too. Like you mentioned, it fit in like the song. It kept the intensity of the song with the split screens and the changes. And got to see that. Yeah, that's Butch doing the backups on that song, or the singing backups, which...
Well, I sang on them too, but I didn't get a picture. No, I think you can see me kind of singing, although I wasn't really singing it. I was just mouthing it. But there was a few of us who sang that part on the record. But yeah, it's
yours
amazing.
and Frank's guitar work together on that song is just, it gets you... It gets me excited, like when I listen to it. Like I play it a lot here at the house, and great cover.
It's a great cover, and like when Chris brought it up, we're like, yeah, Twilight Zone, let's do that. It's the nice thing about the Know It All Boyfriends, especially for this show, it kind of expands to Corey and Alex and Frank and Chris Collingwood and other people who want to be part of it, and it's just a really fun thing.
No, no, Boyfriends wrote some originals
Yeah.
as well. He had Ramp It Up.
Yeah, Ramp It Up. Yeah, Butch and I put a good 8 minutes into that song. And I consider it like a Kiss song. It's like, okay, it's about getting ready to party.
And you destroyed classic rock.
That was actually a real story because Butch had somebody in Viroqua, where they grew up, came up to him at a class reunion and said, I think because of the Nirvana thing, and he's like, you destroyed classic rock. And I don't know, Butch didn't really know what to say. He was like, so we started writing a song. It was me and Freedy and Duke and Butch, and that session was weird. We just kind of played some guitar parts and stuff, and he built it all together. And then he said, "Okay, write words for it." So he drops stuff like that on me. I'll send you. I mean, that song turned out really great. It was really fun. You Destroyed Classic Rock is really fun. But he also sent me something called Sushi Pizza Party by the Pool, which like 2 minutes and 13 seconds long, but it's very fun. And he said, "Okay, write lyrics for this." I'm like, "All right, here we go."
Do you enjoy like the No Doll Boyfriends? Typically, it's mostly covers. Is it nice like working on original music for the band as well? Do you think that?
Yeah, and we do that. Like there's I don't know, we're working on other songs. It's something we'd like to eventually put out a
full album.
Yeah, we'll see. But yeah, I think everybody's got some ideas, so we just kind of work that around all the other stuff we're working on.
You mentioned you've got a home studio. Mm-hmm. Has that changed how you approach a recording project now that you're not like on a timer somewhere? Or
Right, yeah, it really did. And it's been that way for a long time through a lot of years of different gear. But yeah, for me it's great. I'm the happiest in my basement. Except in the winter when the furnace kicks in. And then remembering that I shut the furnace off in the basement so I could record, and then 3 hours later I'm like, damn, it's cold in here.
I feel your pain.
Yeah. But yeah, having a place to be able to create music, I think for anybody who writes and produces or whatever, it's heaven.
Did you have any help setting up the studio, or you had enough knowledge how you were able to just do it?
Yeah, I mean, I used different stuff. I used Logic. I had interfaces and stuff. I use Logic now, and I use Luna, the universal audio thing, which sounds amazing. And I have a number of their, I have 16 channels of their stuff, which is awesome. It sounds great. And we have a drum booth and digital kit as well, and I don't know, a lot of guitars.
You were involved with Wendy Schneider's Smart Studio story documentary.
A little bit, yeah.
How do you think that turned out? Did it do a good job at capturing?
Well, my thing got cut completely, so I think it was terrible. No, I'm just kidding. I'm really happy that happened, and there was local parts of that which didn't make the final cut, and I understand why.
Did you have any tracks on the album, the vinyl release?
Did I?
I should have researched that.
I don't think so.
Have you been to the studio since it was purchased and renovated? I heard it was going to be a bed and breakfast or a Airbnb rental.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't. No. I was there when we loaded out the Trident board, and that was kind of my goodbye then. I knew a couple people who had taken it over for a short amount of time, but it just wasn't the same place.
Do you have a favorite memory of your time at Smart Studios?
I just like being there. and sometimes the members of the Obros would get pulled in to play on a project or something, and as a band. I mean, like when I would mix with Zirkel, after you've heard the song, you wrote the song, you listened to it probably 100 times in your own house. I wouldn't sit there for a whole mix session. I'd be like, I need to go for a walk, and I'll come back and hear it with fresher ears. But I mean, I just liked hanging out there. Because of that, I have every tape-op magazine at my house that's been created since I knew that was a thing. Because I'm really interested in recording too, so I geek out on that kind of stuff. But yeah, the whole vibe was just really nice. It was relaxed. It was fun. And those guys went through a lot of trouble, towards the end, and it just wasn't, the whole studio thing was changing, and everybody had a studio in their bedroom. So, not that made music sound much better, necessarily any better or any worse, but yeah, and the original Smart Studio, which you probably saw in the film, that was fun. We did our first 45 there. That got played on Z104, which was huge for us. Like, we just drive around and live in our cars and listen for it come back on the radio again back in the days.
Do you still get any feelings of magic like that when you're releasing music?
I like, when other people like it, for me, that's great. It makes me feel good. I mean, I wanted to put it out if I thought it sucked. So, not everybody's going to like every song, and that's okay. But when somebody stops me and says, "Hey, I really like this," or I get a Facebook message or something, it's wonderful. It's like, oh, great. I'm glad I'm not the only one who likes it.
Do you have a favorite track on the new Funnelhead album?
No, I don't have a favorite track. Well, I do. Inside Out is pretty great thing.
It's a really good track.
I like how it came out, and I like the meaning of the lyrics. When You Go is it's kind of in 1975, was that? I think so. I was still in Boy Scouts or something, or 70. No, it was 72. Take It Easy by the Eagles was on the radio, and Alone Again Naturally was on the radio. And When You Go is really is Alone Again Naturally for me. When I think of that, that's kind of what propelled that song to happen. I don't know. I'm not sure I'm comfortable talking about. I think My Hippie Girlfriend's really fun. It's upbeat. It's fun. I like The Man I Was. Turned out good. That one is actually me. Me.
You had some backup singers on. I don't remember what track it was. Or somebody, the female singing backups.
Oh yeah.
Or was that on the new single? I don't remember.
That's Love Ain't Money. Yeah, it's my friend Mary and her two daughters, who are both phenomenal singers and string players. And Mary's voice is great too. So when they sing together, it's like one voice. It's amazing. So yeah, they were at the house, and I'm like, oh, well, as long as you're here, come, let's go down to the basement. So yeah, that was fun. I'm really glad to have them on that.
And so we talked about kind of what you have coming up next. You're working on the next album, and you're working just on the next Emmettsville album. You've got Joey's song coming up. You've got some Steely Dane shows coming up. You've got a lot of stuff coming up. Where can people go? Do you have a central site where people can go and find out about all these projects?
I guess Facebook and Instagram. I'm on both of those. So there's an Emmett Jaymes page on Facebook. I just use my regular Instagram account for anything I'm promoting, so just makes it easier.
Jay, thank you for coming over and doing this.
Has it been an hour already?
It's been an hour already.
Darn. I'm just getting started. No, I'm kidding.
I have to sneak this one in. I
Go.
apologize.
Go.
Funnelhead, what does that mean? I know you used that like 10, 12 years ago when you released. I don't know if that was some of the same songs, but what connected you to that name?
My father would say that to me. Basically saying in one ear, out the other. So I just kind of hung on to that, and then that's where that came from. Thanks, Dad.
Well, thanks again. Appreciate it.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate you having me on.
You've been watching Fox Cities Core on WCZR, Code Zero Radio.